Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Everyday Excellence. I'm your host, Todd Baldwin, and today we have Paul Fuller, owner of Paul's Lawn and Landscape. How are you doing, Paul?
Doing good, Todd. Thanks for having me on today.
You bet, man. Thanks for hopping on. Like I said, I love talking entrepreneurs, so I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on our show today. So let's dive in, Paul. Tell me a little bit about Paul's Lawn and Landscape and where you're located and what areas do you guys serve?
All right. Yeah. So Paul's on a landscape. I started this back in middle school. I was the kid that pushed the mowers to houses. And my dad taught me how to, make a flyer and pass it out and knock on doors. And so I was a kid that did that and I just kept doing it. And it's the only thing I really have ever done. We're located in Leander, Texas, so north of Austin, and we kind of service the greater kind of central Texas area, if you will. We'll drive about hour and a half or so to a job site at the most um, to do the work that we.
So I know when we talked, I think I mentioned we started mowing lawns in high school too back in the day.
Mhm.
So but you said you actually got started growing up before like high school. So
Yeah,
how old were you?
I was 12, 13, I think.
Would you just push a mower to the house?
Yeah, I'd stack the weed eater on it, stack the blower on it, and you just push the mower down the street. My range was about 50 yards from my house, or 100 yards, but there was a couple of streets right next to me where, people back then, they wanted to see kids work, and it was more normal to have a neighborhood kid. It was probably dying out around that time. And so my dad had always, like, we were all DIY people. And so we mowed our own yard, fixed our own fence, trimmed our own trees. And so it was like, hey, I could actually, instead of my dad yelling at me to do this, like I could go make money doing it. Uh, so that's
Yeah,
kind of what it is.
no, I love it. I wish we started mowing. I started mowing yards with my best friend back in at the end of high school, and then my first year of college, I stayed. I'm from Amarillo, Texas. I went to school there, mowed yards again. And my only regret was that I didn't do it. I didn't start the business at Texas Tech, where I went to school after my first year of junior college, and just mowed all through college too, because it was a great business and great money for that time. Yeah, and for that age, and to be able to run your own business. So I get a little bit of feel for what you were doing there. But
Yeah, I made more money than any other kid in my school when I blew it all on my friends and my truck and the lake. Didn't save any of it. So it was awesome.
yeah, we just went by. We mow lawns and college kids. Our flyers and little advertisement in the paper was college kids looking for yards to mow, and we got so many calls like people wanting to help college kids. Right? They loved it. We were trying to start something, so that little business carried on for about 6 years too. My partner had two younger brothers who took that on as he moved on too. So take us back, because when we were talking, you said, like, in junior college, was that where you got into welding, or was that a trade school you got in after that? Because you said there was a time you were doing that, and then if I remember correctly, you got back into the lawn business, you bought a
Yeah.
company. Tell us a little bit
So I
about
was
that.
yeah, so I was mowing in high school, middle school, high school, went to junior college for 2 years. I followed my girlfriend, who is now my wife, to college. She went to A&M, I was at Blinn. And I did 2 years of that and actually I took over a lawn service in that area of College Station, and someone else ran mine back home. And then after 2 years of junior college, I realized this wasn't for me. It wasn't the path that I was trying to take. And I had always been welding. I learned how to weld in high school, and I really, really loved welding. So I ended up going to TSCC in Waco and did the welding program there for a year, which would have been my wife's senior year of college. She's a year older than me.
Okay.
And so I did welding school there at TSTC for one full year from '07 to '08. And we lived in Waco from Sunday night through Wednesday or Thursday morning. And then after class, Thursday morning, we would drive to College Station and live there Thursday night through Sunday afternoon. And we would work there. There wasn't any work in Waco for us to do. So that's how I kind of lived that year, was on my friend's couch. I slept on my friend's couch for a year.
I got you. I remember those days too.
Yeah.
Was it in '09 when you actually bought half of a lawn business and suddenly you had 80 clients?
Yeah. Yeah. So in '08, got married August 1st, moved back to town, thought I was taking my lawn service back over. Only had 2 clients, he had lost the rest, and so I had to hustle from August to December, try to get work from previous customers and new customers. And so, yeah, in 2009, I bought part of a company, and that came with, I think, around maybe 80 yards or so, and I took those on myself with another, a worker from church, actually, from my church group. So
And how was that experience getting back cranking? And I know when we visited earlier, you said you kind of had a realization that, hey, this work is going to kill me or something to that effect.
yeah,
Yeah.
in '08, it was I had work for enough for 1 day, and the other days I hung out with my dad, went to his job sites, watched movies, like, it wasn't a lot, but I had faith that I just needed time to do this, like, I knew how to do this, I just needed time, and my wife wasn't my biggest fan at that time of that, and so but in 2009, got busier, but it was the first summer of record heat in Texas. And I remember getting off at like 3 in the afternoon and just being wiped out from the heat. And I'd always been out, like always worked outside. And I just realized I was like, man, I have to get out of this, either grow it or get out because I'm not going to survive till I'm 50 doing this. And I'm 21 at the time, 22. And so that's when the other half, the business that I bought at first, the second half of it, that person was running it into the ground, and I approached them to buy that half of that business, which came along with uh, 2 employees with that part of the business.
So that must have been like a godsend, right? To have some people help, some help.
It
And
was, yeah, it was a godsend, even in like '08, at one point, I think I just hired a friend so I didn't have to sit in silence all day. Like I could have someone to talk to.
yeah,
And when you start to get help, you start to realize, oh, I can make more money if I can delegate this.
right.
And really the first 2 guys, Greg and Juan, they came with the business. They didn't know me from anyone else. They would just show up, give me the list, leave, finish the list, turn it in, go home. Like, man, we didn't talk. They didn't smile. They didn't want to converse with me. Thought they just didn't like me for like over a year or 2. But they showed up every day. They did the work. And, farthest thing from the truth is what I realized. So,
Yeah, yeah. What all right, so this is back '08, '09. You bought this business, it sounds like in two chunks over
mhm,
two, I guess, 2 different cycles, 2 different years or seasons. And you fast forward to today, right?
mhm,
So now we're what, 17 years later. What
yep.
all, because I know you guys are still doing lawn, but what all are you doing now? What all the services that you offer at
Yeah, so
Paul's
when I
Lawn
started out,
Care?
I was just mowing, and that's all I knew how to do. I honestly couldn't have told you what grass was what. I knew it was green. I knew I could mow it at this height on the mower, and that was it.
Yep,
But what we were doing was 3 things I tell people in business to do, which is answer the phone, show up on time, and do good work. And when we started to do that for maintenance, people just naturally ask you, hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do that? Hey, can you trim trees? Hey, can you trim bushes? Can you mulch flower beds? Can you install these plants? And I mean, money is money. And it was like, yes, yes, I can. And so we just kept saying yes to things and trying to figure out what we liked doing, what we weren't good at. And we learned. And so that growth over 17 years, our attitude has always been, yes, let me figure that out. And now we can do some of the most complicated, most insane jobs out there in the landscape world that are just so challenging. Most companies can't do it. And we have created this culture that we thrive on challenge. And if someone says we can't do it, then we just go, Well, we'll see about that. And so we've just learned how to do the things we do now. I mean, we're building playscapes for cities and parks. We do full on welded shade structures. We're doing sports field management. Of course, your regular dirt grass sprinklers, plants, any type of rock work, concrete, like anything outside of a house we can do. We've even done some interior finish outs on some houses just because
Wow.
my guys could do it. And that's what he grew up doing. It's like, well, if you can teach me how to sell it, then let's learn how to do it.
Just say yes, figure it out later, right?
Yeah, say yes, figure it out later. I mean, it was at first, it was fake it till you make it is what I had to do. And
Yeah.
but what people liked was that we had this way of doing business. You could call me, I would answer the phone, I would show up when I said I would, and I would do what I said I was going to do when I said I was going to do it. And you would just be surprised how many owners and contractors just couldn't put all those three things together. They could do two of the three, but you need all three to have a successful business. And since then, since we started, we've been referral only. Like we don't advertise, we don't pay for advertisement. It has been word of mouth referral only growth.
Yeah, that is what's amazing. We talked that there was there's I don't run into many businesses that have been able to grow and just on referral only, right? Or word of mouth type of business. So that has kept you guys growing and busy to where you just felt like you didn't need to do any type of other marketing.
No, the phone wouldn't not ring. Like the phone just rang. And I also added in there, we're referral only, debt free. I paid cash for everything as we grew. So
Yeah,
we don't finance equipment, we don't finance trucks. Like we save up and pay cash. So that's another thing people like don't understand how to do. So we did the Dave Ramsey thing on that. But the referral only, what we explain to our guys is that look, every job is your last job. Today, this is the last job you're going to do unless you impress the customer, you knock it out of the park, you do so good at this job that they can't but help talk about us to their neighbor, and then their neighbor calls. But if you show up late and you don't work hard and you sleep under a tree and you leave trash everywhere and you don't clean up and you let the dog out the gate, you do all those things, well, then this is your last job today. And
sure.
so with that mindset, the guys pay attention to detail. They go above and beyond. They do the things correctly, even if that's not what the customer wanted. You know, Sometimes you got to just do things the right way, no matter what the customer says, because what they want's not going to work. And so we walked away from jobs where we just said, "Hey, you know what? We're not going to do this for you because you're asking me to do something that's not going to work." And they have come back to us and go, "You know what? You know something I don't. We're going to go with you." And it's like, okay, and then those people refer you out. But when we do things the right way, you get talked about.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? Like just three basic simple things that every business should
It,
do and
it
operate,
really is. It really is.
but a lot of people don't. You talked about the Dave Ramsey formula, or I guess process to pay for cash. Talk a little bit about that. I'm curious to just hear how that worked for you.
Yeah, so I mean, I recommend any of your listeners, if they haven't done the Financial Peace University, the Dave Ramsey program, like I highly recommend doing that. That was a life changer for me and my wife when we first got married. And it just makes you look at money and look at things different. And so we get our personal finances that way, where we're not getting car payments out, we're not taking out loans. We immediately paid off student loans and credit and like a little bit of credit card debt right when we first got married. Within like 18 months of being married, we were debt free. And so I took that into my business and said, look, if I'm going to buy a work truck, I got to pay cash. I'm not going to go buy a brand new truck, because I can't
Right,
afford it.
right.
So as we grew, it was save money, save money. In fact, one of the biggest lessons I learned in our area, there was a last line of um, privately owned auto parts stores. So not your Napa, not your AutoZone or O'Reilly's. It was a privately owned auto parts store. And he'd known me since I was like 6 years old. We've been going in since I've been in the area. And when I got started, went to him, I said, "Hey, Jerry, um, I want, starting my business, give me some advice." And he goes, "All right." He's been owning this place for like 40 years, opened up multiple stores. I said, "All right." He's like, "You got a pen ready?" I was like, "I'm ready." And he looks at me and goes, "Save money, save money, and save money." And I'm like standing there like, "That's all you got? Not like marketing or."
Right.
He's like, "No, I'm just going to tell you to save money." And so that was very impactful to me. And that's all you can see after 40 years of owning your own business is to save money. I said, "Okay, I should probably do that." So of course I wrote that down 3 times.
Yeah.
And that's like what we did. We just saved money. We would save as much as we could in business so that I could buy the next truck. I could buy the next equipment. I could take a risk on something. When I had more money in the bank account, I can take a risk on a job I don't know how to do in case I mess it up, then I got to go fix it. But that savings allowed me to grow and take risks. And so one of the things that happened is like right before COVID, one of the years we didn't get our visa workers that year. And I had like 5 trucks sitting in my yard with no one to drive it. Didn't matter. Didn't matter because they were all paid for. They weren't having to work. If they sat there, all it cost me was like $60 a month in insurance. And that was, had I had payments and car notes and all that, I would have folded up pretty quick. So
Yeah.
it allows
That's
you to take risks and allows you to grow strategically. So when you go into hard times, man, you're not sweating it.
yeah. No, I'm a big believer too in having a war chest, right? Because you don't know what's coming down the road as a business
Hmm.
owner, and it doesn't take a lot to all of a sudden get upside down. So
Oh
I
yeah,
like that. And kudos to being diligent, right? And just sticking to it. And it's nice to have that money in the bank, right? I
it
mean,
is,
and not have the
and it's
stress of
takes a long time, man. It's not overnight, but you slowly save. And there's times when I emptied that account and had to fix stuff and rebuild it back up. But it was always the principle was we were always saving money,
save money, save money, save money.
money, and then answer the phone, show up on time, and do good work. I guess that's the
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, it's pretty simple business plan there. Pretty
yeah.
simple concept. Let's talk about your culture because you said Juan and Greg came with the business that you bought when
Mhm.
you eventually bought the second half of that
Yeah.
business. Um, so I guess that was the beginning of your culture, but how has your culture grown and how important it is to the success that you guys have?
Yeah. So the culture grew by learning how these guys work. As a American worker, I would 12 o'clock would hit. I would sit down, eat my lunch for an hour, then go back to work. Well, I remember getting their sheets they turn in and they never took a lunch off of their time. And I was like, man, I know these guys are stealing from me. I know they're eating lunch and not writing it down. And I've told them to, and they're not listening. Well, one day I go and work with them to do a job. And so I'm working with them. We're wheelbarrow on the show and whatever. And then 12 o'clock rolls around. I go to the truck, I grab my lunch, and I go sit down on this bench, at the job site. And I start to eat. And I look at them, and they're still working. And they're looking at me like I have a plague. And I was like, guys, like, what, y'all don't sit and eat lunch? Like, what's going on? And they're like, no, we don't eat lunch because then that means I have to be home an hour later. So we just skip lunch and just work through lunch. And immediately I was taught you never not work if someone else is working. That's how I was taught.
Right,
I was like, okay, guess I'm not eating lunch today. And so put my lunch up, kept working. And these guys set this culture of like, we work really hard to get done as fast as we can. We don't compromise quality, but
right.
man, like if we eat, we're eating standing up and then we're going back to work. Like your butt never touches the ground unless it's in the truck seat when you're driving home. And so these things we started to learn as a culture of this work ethic that I grew up with, that I had, that these guys like took it even a level further to where you just work extremely hard. And we have all these mantras and sayings that we've made up through the years of like, at one point, me and Juan had to work because we needed money. We had nothing else. And it was work in freezing rain, work in the bad weather. And we just started to say, look, once you're wet, you can't get any wetter. So just keep working, like work in the rain.
Yeah.
And so we just have all these things of like, these guys are just so tough. They work so hard. They don't take breaks. I mean, Juan came into work one time white with like a staph infection on his leg and could barely walk and was still going to mow. I actually had to get him out of the truck and make my wife take him to the hospital to get a
Wow.
shot. But he was still going to work. And it's just like, all right, guys, if like that's the example you set, well, guess what? I will let you know when you're not okay to work. So if you're sick, I'll check you out and then you can get on the truck and work. So we just have like these things that just keep us tough and accountable and not making excuses. And that allows us to take on challenges in our company, because we don't make excuses. We just figure it out.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. And these guys show up to go to work and they want to get back home to their family. And so
Yep.
let's work hard. Let's
Yep.
not take shortcuts, but let's get out of here as quick as possible too. So were you hungry that day at the end of the day that you didn't get to eat
Oh
lunch?
yeah, absolutely. You know what? But it felt good, and I got home an hour earlier or whatever. But it taught me this culture that we keep that's very hard for guys to get in. But once you're in, like I'm employee focused in my company. I don't focus on my customers. I focus on my employees. And because of how much we love on them and take care of them, like the byproduct is customers are happy. And then we get referred because when you see someone out in your yard working in the heat, not taking breaks, getting stuff done before they said they were going to be finished, man, you got to call Paul. Those guys just work so hard. But when you have guys walking slow, taking forever, taking 2 weeks to do a 1 week job, like you don't get referred, you don't get talked about. So
So it's that whole culture that's helped you um, do great work for clients, which in return has brought you lots of referrals and
correct.
repeat business because those same clients are using you as well. So um, I know your clients. I know you guys treat them really well. What are some non-negotiables for how your team treats your customers?
Oh,
Because I'm assuming over the years you've had maybe not, maybe you haven't had many issues, but you come across anything with team members where you're like, hey, that's it's a big no, man. It's a
uh,
non-negotiable.
like how a customer might treat us, and then
How your team might treat your customers.
um, I mean, obviously, your normal customer service. You got to be polite. You got to be nice to them and stuff. Of course, we've had our own issues with customers and stuff. We always give them the benefit of the doubt. If they get upset about something, we don't react really quickly. We try to ask some questions, read through the email and stuff. And most of the time, uh, people have had a bad day and something caught them off guard. There was a communication error or whatever. For us though, like because I'm employee focused, like the non-negotiables for me is if you yell at my guys, if you talk down to them, if you accuse them of stealing or lying or whatever, um, dude, we'll walk off the job. We'll just leave. And we've done it before where we had a customer um, use language at my guys and like ripped up part of our landscaping, yelled at them. And I think I left $5,000 on the table and it said, we're not coming back, man. We don't work for people who treat us that way. Like, we don't treat you that way. You're not going to treat us that way. We're not coming back. And I've left money out there. And so I don't care about their referral because everyone who they're going to refer is probably crazy or not going to
Yeah.
listen to them, but I don't let people treat my employees less than. When we're not treated as equals, then we're not going to work for you. And so over the years, we've learned to see the red flags and stuff. And so we just kind of learn we don't work well with those kind of people. But man, we have our guys back all the time, and so if they ever tell us of an issue, I mean, I've had my words with certain people at certain times, and the guys see it and they know it, and they respect it, and they just keep working for you. I mean, I had one time, I had a it was there was a few years ago, it was National Day Without Immigrants. I don't know if anyone ever recalls that. It was a big deal the first time they did it. I
Yep.
made a on Facebook, closed the office, and I gave the guys the option if they wanted to work or not. And I said, if you don't show up, man, if you show up, I'll be disappointed that you showed up because you know where I stand with this. And
Sure.
so no one showed up to work. They had the day off, and I paid them. And man, people came out of the woodworks attacking me, accusing me of hiring. I don't even know who these people were, hiring illegals, supporting him, all this stuff. And I sat there and I don't argue on Facebook. And I sat there and defended it. And the next day, coming into work, my guys are on Facebook. They read that stuff. And Juan looks at me and was like, he goes, I saw what you did. And I said, did you read all those? And he's like, yeah. I said, all right. He goes, dude, I'm with you, man. And we just have this bond, like, we're just here. Like, you got our back, like, we got yours. And so when you can go to bat for them and defend them, man, they're just loyal.
Yeah, no, when you show that you have their back like that, they're going to appreciate that.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're going to be even more loyal. So I like all of that. I love that you gave them the day off, paid them. Um, I'm like you. I don't like to try to get in a piss and match on Facebook, but sometimes you
Mhm.
gotta stand up, right? So
Sometimes you got to stand up for what you believe in, no matter what the consequence is.
sure, sure.
And you know what's crazy after that? I went through every single audit you could imagine in my business. Right after that, I got audited on everything you could.
Wow, isn't that crazy? Like somebody, yeah, yeah, unbelievable. The so what are you focused on now? I mean, we're 2026. What gets you excited about the future
So
as far as lawn and
2026,
landscape?
yeah, we got money in the bank, so we're able to take some risks and try some new ventures. We're really doing high-end residential landscaping, so it's encompassing, construction and welding and stonework and irrigation and crazy plant designs. Um, that's been really fun to do because it's not just like your boring everyday stuff. The playgrounds, we're back into building playgrounds again. We're currently building essentially the biggest one in Central Texas, I'm sorry, the biggest playground in Texas, and it is very difficult because the instructions and stuff are difficult. So the challenges we're having with that, with my crew, figuring that out, that's been fun. We're also looking at growth this year. We're looking at transitioning into a fertilizer and weed control division. We have the clientele for it. We're trying a new avenue with that to get into some services that we used to offer a long time ago, but then we stopped, and now we want to do it again. So our growth is just, how much work can we bring in and, continue to service our clients, and we just don't like the boring cookie cutter stuff. Like, we like challenges, we like difficult jobs.
Sure. I'm sure you've got a mix of that though, right? Just some what you would call boring work still.
Yeah, you get those mixed in, they pay the bills, whatever. It's, our guys almost, you can hand them a sheet and just say, "Hey, I'll see you in a week," and they just know what to do. We're not doing a lot of teaching anymore. We're just a lot of doing. Like, we've learned how to do all this. Now it's putting it together, and my project managers, they're great at moving all these chess pieces around. We got 9 different construction crews, landscape construction crews. They're all great at different things. And so we move them around on the board of what part of the job they need to be at and when and for what. And, it's cool when you can have 4 to 5 crews on a job working at the same time together, and people, it'll blow your mind, but they're all know each other, they all help each other out, and man, work can get done really quick when we got to make stuff happen. So those are the exciting things that we get to do.
Yeah, yeah, no, and you're doing all the playground stuff sounds really cool too.
Hmm.
So Is the fertilize, that side of the business that you want to grow into, is the goal, I guess, to market to all your existing client base?
Yeah. So market to my existing clients and come up with a program, for the lawns around here. I started learning about it more when I took over these baseball fields over in my town in Cedar Park called CPYL, Cedar Park Youth League. And I took over the facilities there because my boys were playing baseball. As you can see, all my baseball stuff back here,
Yeah.
all our rings and trophies and stuff. And so I took over the facilities because I lived right next to them. We walked to go play baseball, but they were in such bad condition that I ended up getting on the board and we just go out there and fix stuff and make things nicer. And now I got my applicator's license to learn what kind of fertilizer and all this, how to do all that. And now our baseball fields are known as the nicest in Central Texas for Little League fields.
There you
And
go.
get a ton of compliments, and it's allowed me to work with. I've been helping out other little leagues because I've learned they're all in the same boat of no one knows how to do anything. They're all volunteering, so
Yeah.
I spend way too much time and money to go fix these fields just because I'm addicted to it and I love it, and I see the joy it brings kids and families, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what we're doing.
You
So
They went from ugly fields to beautiful fields.
man, yeah, they're so nice. You can be there all weekend and never leave. You got food, water, shelter, entertainment. Like the most fields don't have any of those. And we travel around a little bit to other places and play sometimes. And as of right now, no one has beat us in all of those like factors to make a field what it is. Like if their facilities are nicer, their fields aren't anywhere near as good. Or, they might have different food, but we have more of it, in different just different things like that. So it's been fun and it's just a whole new avenue of sports field maintenance that, I'm getting into.
I'm sure that led to some new business too.
It did. I mean, because of that, we got to work with UMHB. We got to redo their football fields and get those back into shape. Got to redo their soccer fields, get those back into shape. So we've been working with other parks and getting our name out there. So it's been fun.
What do you believe your company does better than your competitors or most competitors?
Can I say everything, or is that
Yeah,
not a real answer?
you can say everything. Well, what go ahead. Go ahead.
I feel like we do a lot of things better. I mean, quality of work you're not going to find anyone who's going to do a better job than us. One thing we struggle with are in-house designs. We always have to sub those out or refer out a design, and they bring us a design and we do them. But there hasn't been a design that we haven't been able to do and just make it look incredible. And so I would say there's not a lot of things people beat us on that we're focused on. Like, obviously, I mean, I'm one of the bigger maintenance companies in the area, but not the biggest. Um, we're one of the bigger privately owned landscape companies in the area, but we're not the biggest. And we don't get the jobs that like the national companies get, which would be nice to get, but we don't get those. When they're doing high rises and giant commercial properties downtown, like we don't get those. There's certain things that
Do
we
you
don't.
want to?
I mean, I don't know. I like what we're doing and we're really good at what we're doing. So I don't want to go after things that, you know, it's not going to bring me joy. Like if we get it, cool. But also what we're doing now is very efficient. There's less red tape. When you do high end residential, you deal with one person. We're learning in commercial, you have four different decision makers and they pay out net 365. I mean, like, so there's pros and cons with it. I wouldn't mind getting some bigger commercial work, but as far as high end residential, we're doing some of the top end stuff out there for people.
It sounds like you've got a great mix of business. And so, maybe the high end, really, really high end, you know, wouldn't be a good fit. Who knows, right? I don't know.
Mhm.
Do you bet on them and just don't get them, or? You
I mean,
gonna
you
walk
have to
through
have the opportunity to, like, on certain
yeah,
commercial work, you just have to know the people, and if you don't know them, like, you'll never get on a bid list or whatever, and even if you did get on a bid list, if they don't know you, you're just another number, and they go with the guy that they've known. So it's very relational in the commercial world. The high-end residential, we're partnered with people, with other pool companies, that already, are working for that client, and then they just refer us out to do the landscape after a pool build. But then just our name is out there in the community. So,
sure.
yeah,
Are you guys typically booked out every year? I mean, just with the type of marketing I mean, just with the
we're
referrals and
we're
doing good
busy
work?
year round, man. We're busy year
B
round.
busy year round? Really?
Year
That's
round.
so yeah, no, I mean, it's a heck of a way to build a business. You're not having to spend a lot of money on marketing, so,
Right.
just doing it in other ways, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious as we kinda wind up here, Paul, when you look back at the kid mowing lawns and compare them to the business owner you are today, what stands out the most?
What stands out? Man, just a work ethic back then really pays off in the future. Like really wanting to work and really wanting to work hard. Because I wasn't the smartest kid. I was a B minus, B plus student,
Sure.
but people didn't outwork me, and so I might not have been book smart or apply myself in that way, but I was honest, fair, I did the right thing, and I worked really hard, and I think that translates into the future. And plus, I've been blessed, man. God is good. I've been blessed with more than I could have ever imagined, and I've had great opportunities, and I took risks, and this is where I'm at. Um, I wish there was people back then that would have taken me under their arm and tried to, hey, don't do this. Like, you need to do this, um, and not make me learn lessons in a much longer time frame. And so I see kids like that now, and I go out of my way to mentor them. And I've mentored a handful of high school kids. I'm doing 2 to 3 right now. They have my number. And other business owners like me that are much smaller, I mentor them, and they call me. I check on them. Hey, man, this is what I would do. I wouldn't do this. Uh, I mean, so much so it was kind of cool. Me and my son were riding bikes the other day in our neighborhood, and I'm just in regular clothes, whatever. And I stop and I see a kid mowing a yard. He's in high school. He was trying to put his mower into his truck, and I stopped and I was like, "Hey, man, you mow yards?" And he goes, "Yeah, I got a few yards around here." I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Um, what's your name?" And he goes, "Oh, my name's Simon." I was like, "Hey, Simon, I'm Paul." And he goes, "Paul Fuller?" And I was like, "How did you know my name?" He goes, "Oh man, my dad knows you because of this and this. You're at the school with, when I was a kid as a watchdog, and I see your trucks all over the place, you know." But like this random kid knew me in the neighborhood, knew my name, my last name,
Yeah.
but so now I'm meeting with him and gonna help him, work through some of this. But that's like what I like doing is helping out other guys in my industry and not learn things the hard way like I've had to do.
Yeah, I love talking to other business owners. And especially in my industry, and I don't mind helping other people too in the same industry. There's a lot of business owners that they don't want to talk or try to help other businesses that might compete against them.
Yeah.
I've
It's
always been kind of the opposite. I think there's so much business out there. There's plenty for everybody,
that's what we
right?
look that's what we say. We just say, look, there's no competition. I have my customers, you have your customers. And your
Yeah,
customers don't work well, we just have our own type of clients.
sure.
And
Yeah,
so I want someone, doing this the right way to make us all look good. But when I see other people out there, I see myself, I see that younger me out there working and going, man, there's a future in this. You might not know it, but man, there's a future and it is good. And it can be a real blessing. It can be the hardest thing you've ever done, but man, there's so much growth and opportunity to make a difference to people. Like, let me show you how to do this. And so when you say that, that's kind of what that brings me to.
me yeah, having mentors I think is invaluable. What are you most proud of in building the company where you are today?
proud of the culture that I've created and the camaraderie I have with these guys. Um, my kids know all of them. And when my kids come up here to the shop, because my guys live at my shop, they get hugs, they go play soccer. I joke that I have a Mexican grandma and a Mexican grandpa, and Miss Paulina has bottle fed all my kids. They have seen me grow up. I've been doing this long enough. And so I'm proud of the culture and the guys that we have that have known me for a long time. And I've known them long enough where I got two generations working for me in the same family,
Wow.
because they want to be here, because we create something for them that they love, that it's special. I think that's what I'm most proud about. I mean, money's a byproduct. Like it doesn't bring me joy. The guys and talking to them in the mornings and seeing them have kids and get married. And one of the biggest things we did recently was we finally got 6 green cards to go through. And so I'm able to
Okay.
see the family tree of some of these guys and get them green cards, and now they're getting married and they're bringing their kids over. And, that's what I'm proud about, is creating opportunities for them to grow. And that's our motivate, whatever you call our motto or whatever. It's create opportunities for other people to grow. And so that was one way we got to do it. And I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you what a success look like for you now, but I think you just described it. You
Success
just
is having my guys succeed. You know,
yeah,
I don't,
yeah,
I don't count money. Like, it would blow your mind how little I look at numbers and look at the health of my guys. Are they
yeah,
doing good? Are they happy? Are they provided for? If that answer is yes, we're going to make money. I mean, sure, you got to know how to price stuff and break evens, all that junk. But like, are your guys happy? Are your employees taken care of? Yes. Well, then you're going to make money, because they're going to impress your clients. They're going to be referable, and you're going to
sure.
get a phone to ring. It all just works together.
All goes hand in hand.
It all goes
Uh,
hand.
do you have a favorite quote that you could share with us? I'll give you an example. One of mine is I keep saying this. I need to use another one, but one of my favorite is the truth requires no memory. And that's always resonated because I just really big and just speak the truth, and you don't try. As long as you're speaking the truth, you don't
Mhm.
have to try to remember what you said, right? Because the
Yeah.
truth requires no memory. So that's my stepmom, who's like a second mom, said that to me. I don't know how many years ago, but it's always stuck with me. Do you have anything you could share? What's a favorite quote or saying that you like, Paul?
Yeah, so we have a lot of them, but I would say the one that we founded this company on, I would always say, look, there is no plan B.
No
Plan
plan B.
is to make plan A work. So whatever you're set out to do, whatever job you're going to do, whatever business you're going to start, whatever marriage you're in, like, there is no plan B. You sit there and stay the course and you figure out how to make it work. And you're going to go through ups and downs. You're going to be at the lowest of low, but you don't quit. We don't give up. There is no plan B. Plan B is to make plan A work. So whatever your plan A is, then you just got to do it no matter what. And
I like it.
on a sign up here in the back, but man, we use that phrase all the time. There's no plan B. So you're in
No
marriage,
plan B.
looking good, and you're struggling. That's fine. You're not giving up. You're going to learn how to fix it.
Right.
You're on a difficult job that seems impossible. Well, there's no quitting in the middle of it. You figure out how to finish it. And so
You shouldn't
that's
do it
the
right.
motto we
And
that's the motto we bring to our company and to our jobs and to our relationships, is there's no plan B.
like that too. No plan B. What about podcasts? If you listen to podcasts or any podcasts out there that you could share with us that you like?
Ooh, um, the podcasts I listen to are probably more they're Christian, faith based ones. There's some parenting podcasts that I listen to. Meg Meeker is a good one that I listen to. Uh, actually, I'll pull it up real fast. Calm Parenting podcast I listen to. Uh, again, Bema Discipleship. That's another faith, church one. Bible recap. Most of mine are religious based. I don't do a whole lot of listen to politics and stuff. I can only handle that so much because it doesn't bring me.
I'm right there with you. I think those are great podcasts, religious based, and
Yeah.
I stay away from the politics too. So I don't
Yeah,
need to,
I can
I
take
hear
about
enough about
30
it. I don't,
minutes of a day and then I'm about done. Just enough to
yeah,
stay informed. But no, I like listening to stuff that helps grow me as a dad. I mean, because again, like one thing I didn't get to say on here, when I hire people on, I tell them our priorities. And our priorities are not work. It is
yeah,
God, family, friends, and then work. And if your relationship with God is not right, you need to fix that. If your relationship with your family and your wife and your kids is not good, you need to fix that first. If I got friends that need help, we're going to go take care of that first. Then I'll come to work. So whenever there's church stuff that needs to happen or you need to be at, you're there, no questions asked. If you have a kid's sports games that you got to be at, no questions asked. You got to be there, you know? And so if your friends need help, your friends are in need, like be a good friend, go help them out. We go help my friends all the time with stuff, you know? And then I'm going to come to work and, work for my clients. And so
sure,
they all know that. So everyone in the office, like they know that their kid is sick. I'm not making them take PTO. If they got to go leave early for their kid's football game, absolutely text me the score when you're done, you know? So when we
yeah,
have those priorities, like when I got church stuff to do, I'm out. There was one time me and my wife were having a struggle in our relationship and I took a week off. I came into work and said, I'm not coming in this week. I got to fix this. So no one even asked. Like they just said, okay, we got it. So
yeah. Very similar over here with our company. I'm a big believer family comes first. Same with God. And I tell them all the time, look, um, take care of your family, go
mhm.
spend time with them. Um, it's like vacate. Like we really don't have, um, we have a PTO, but I've never declined a vacation.
And
So
that's the thing. You just
it's
like,
really unlimited. And I'm a big believer. Like I've had to tell people, like, go do something. Like get out of here. Go spend time
yeah,
with your family. Go
yeah,
somewhere or just have a staycation, but you use the time off, right? And so, um, and in sporting events, school events, all that jazz, man. Kids grow up so fast. You only got one chance at this crack of being the parent, and especially when they're young and growing up. So I love all that you're doing because I think it's really, really important, and I think employees really appreciate that too. And same thing with being sick or anything like that. Look, you're sick, man. Just get well. Like, don't try to work. Just take care of yourself and all that jazz. I think it comes back as business owners. I don't know if you can measure how much it comes back in a positive way, right?
yeah.
When you have that mindset with your people and employees. So, um, you talked a little bit about this. You've probably answered this, but when you run into the young Paul that's out mowing his yard that you see, like you mentioned with the
Mhm.
kid, what advice do you give those people, or what advice would you give a young entrepreneur? Hey, I want to get into the lawn and landscape business, Paul. What advice would that be?
The advice is I'll tell them the first basic, I'll tell them my priorities, right? I tell them about God, family, friends, and then work. Like you got to have the priorities right to make this even remotely work. And then after that, it's the basic business things of answer the phone, show up on time, and do good work. So I tell them those basic things. I tell them about saving money. I tell them, a lot of times it's like I'm gonna go buy this now. And it's like, no, don't need to buy that. You need to rent it, or you're not gonna need it. So I'll give them, things like that on how to grow slow. One of the things someone told me long time ago was this is a marathon, not a sprint. You might get
Sure.
a bunch of business right now and you're going to go crazy and try and buy a bunch of stuff, but like it's not a marathon. You're sprinting. Like you got to go slow. And so I give them some simple business advice and I direct them in the path in this industry of like, hey, if you get into maintenance, you need to do this also. Hey, I would get my irrigation license. I would get my applicator's license. Like these licenses that cost basically nothing, you can immediately start making 60, 70, $80 an hour, making even more money than what I did starting out. It's these other, I wish I would have known I could have done this a long time ago and I would have been at a different spot. Teach them how to price things. Like, this is the industry rate. If it gets complicated, just go back, time and materials. Think of how much time it's going to take, what you need to charge, material. So I'll keep it simple. But man, I really like. I don't run a complicated business. We don't overcomplicate things. I think some people do, and they can get real tech heavy, and it just gets harder and harder when it's like you can keep things simple and it can still work and it's okay. But I give them those basic things and just check on them, man. Just check on them.
Yeah, and, a lot of times it's are they able to execute the basics, right? And
Yep, yep.
so,
You got to do the basics.
if so, it's even more encouraging to keep working with them, right? Because they're actually listening and applying and
Yep.
starting to see some success. It's hard when you have early success in business. My first go around, it was just I thought, "Hey, business, this is too easy." I learned really quick that that's not typically the case. So, when you're young and, grow, 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 you make some money, yeah, it's easy to say, "Well, hey, that money's still gonna be there. Let me go buy this and this," and when the reality is you don't need any of it, right? So, love that mindset. Paul, I've kept you way longer than usual, but I've been enjoying talking to you. I love the simplicity of your business. You were the first person that I've talked to. This is probably, I don't know. Like I said, I started podcasting this year. I'm not a professional podcaster, but I've probably done 25 of these now or so, but you're the only person I've talked to that spent zero on marketing, as far as like any digital marketing or anything. So kudos to you because I can just tell you built a really successful business and really a lot of this, all your success. What I've really liked hearing is really the last thing on the list is money, right? It's not all about money to you. That's just a byproduct of doing things the
Yep.
right way.
Yep.
So great to get to visit with you and get to know you a little bit. I appreciate you sharing so much with us too.
Todd, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. No, it's fun.
Yeah. Tell our listeners how they can find you if they're in the Austin area and need a good company to come out and help them with anything related lawn, landscape, outdoor living. How can they
Yeah.
find you,
So
Paul?
you can look us up online, paulslawn.austin.com. We're on Facebook, and Instagram. We're trying to redo those though because they're not real active. We're call our phone 512-553-5296 or 553 lawn LAWN. Now go to us and we got the right channels. We'll get you, some work. So
Great. Well, Paul, man, enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for being on here. I really appreciate the time.
yeah, thank you, Todd.